Oh.
Well, we're back.
We are back.
We're back. Well, thank you to all our
Unexpectedly.
sponsors. I'm glad you saw our sponsors, and welcome back. And I hope you, as you were sitting there, you were bidding. But listen, if you haven't bid on any art yet, I have a fantastic basket that you can get a raffle for. This is our raffle basket here, and as Monty is bringing it up to the table here, this basket in itself is priceless. It has so much in it. It has from the Ion International Training. Listen, you get an opportunity to do figure skating with an Olympic champion, Luis Tefas. And listen, you can't put a price on that. So that's part of it also. And we also have something from the Loudoun Center for Plastic Surgery. You know who you are. We won't discuss that. And also, we have from Dominion Tea, we have a flight of exotic teas. Those of you who are like me, don't like coffee, I can't do the Starbucks, there's some tea in there for you. And also, listen, from Concocting Creek Distillery, let me tell you, Monty, show them what they got, Monty. Listen, that brand, I'm telling you, some good stuff there. You want that. I know you're watching me. You want that. So listen, remember all the proceeds go to Loudoun Cares. Okay, if you're not going to bid on anything tonight, draw the raffle. Please, draw the raffle. Monty doesn't come with it, but if I have to throw Monty in, you got him. All right, Jim, let's go back to it.
I just want to remind the people that are watching us on live stream that Glenn and I are closer than 6 feet, but we were both tested earlier today, and we're in fine health.
Very good health.
Glenn is likely in much better health than I am. Let's talk about the piece on my right here. It's by Tracy Wilkerson. This is somebody that came to art late in 2008, and she started creating 2D and 3D pieces. I feel very close to the kind of work that she does. I'm a painter, but I'm all about the materials. And that's what Tracy claims. She's really interested in the materials that are used in her work. In this particular piece, very feminine piece, you've got that cinnabar color background. And I think every woman that might be looking at this understands the imagery of the little black dress. And this piece is called for every occasion. It is item number 115 on your gallery sheet if you're taking a look at that. We've got a market value on it of $150. Our current bid is $98, but I would remind you that we're bidding in $10 increments. This piece is set in a poured substrate. It's probably some sort of an acrylic, and then you have jewelry on the right side of the piece, and you have that adorable little black dress that's festooned with some pearls and a bit of chain. So depending on if you're a traditionalist, maybe the pearls are for you. If you're an anarchist, maybe the chains are for you. What do you want? Oh, I'm sorry. Here's our lovely hand artist, model rather, and the piece is kinetic as she's talking about. I'm just going to move it for you. We have it sideways, and it goes back to where it is. Awesome piece. And I would tell you that if it was me and I had a closet full of clothes as a female, this is something that I would absolutely hang on the inside of my closet. It would make me feel good about getting dressed to go out over the course of the evening. And if you're not a female and you're watching us live stream, remember that the female in your life, there is Christmas coming up. They have a birthday at least once a year. I know the female in my life has a birthday month, so you could give one of these every single day for 30 days. And it is a universally recognizable image in the little black dress. Again, our current bid at $98. We're bidding in $10 increments, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try to get that above the market value at $150. We're getting close. Glenn?
No, same as you. Well, as you, the background. You said it's acrylic.
The far background is probably a piece of paper or it's a painted substrate, and we call that color either a rust. There's like 1,000 different versions of that. But in the Asian world and Chinese art, Japanese art, that color is referred to as cinnabar because it's referencing a piece of material that's naturally that color.
That's a good color.
Yeah.
Great color. Really sets the piece off.
And that piece of green, almost jade-like element just under the circle there is the nice color focus to contrast with that cinnabar background. If you've got any questions, I think there's a telephone number on the website. You can call somebody and discuss this. Otherwise, I would invite you to try to get that bid well above $150. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go back over to another small piece. And if I'm not mistaken, this is an Octavia Fraser piece. Am I right? Every occasion calculating. It's item number 14. It's got to be an Octavia Fraser piece because of the places that they were hung. My bad. Marta McGrath. Green Acres. This piece is Green Acres?
That's great.
My bad.
This is calculating. This is calculating.
Yes, 100.
Item number 100.
Yes, so you were right. Hence
Okay,
the
item number 100 is,
calculator.
current bid is at $115, and that piece is by Marta McGrath, called Calculating. We talked about this before. Marta is a dear friend, hung a lot of Marta's work. She is, I think, one of the best abstract artists. She has a tremendous amount of emotion that she is able to imbue in the piece of art. This looks a whole lot like a calculator. It's got that black and white, solid type of modernist abstract imagery. The contrast, of course, is the red outline in that one area, and then that screen is spread and depicted as the yellow accent piece. This would go great in an office, especially if you're an accountant, a CPA, you're working in the accounting department for your company and you want to personalize your space, whether it's a cubicle or you're lucky enough to have a 100-square-foot office. This is something that would bring home to your space and help decorate it. Any questions, Glenn?
No, most definitely. And this piece must be resonating with quite a few people because we have several bids on this item here. But you brought out a good point. If you're a CPA or you're a numbers jockey, this is for you.
Yeah.
Yep, you are calculating.
So there's real depth in the imagery here, right? The thing that floats on top is that yellow portion of the screen and the keys for the calculator. But if you look beyond the yellow portion of the screen, there is depth there, ladies and gentlemen. And it's something that is very difficult to accomplish, especially when you're talking about collaged pieces of either paper or some other form. And those straight edges are either masked or they're painted. Painting a straight edge with a brush is a difficult thing. But what Marta is able to come up with is a piece that has depth when you take a look at it. It allows your eye to move around and take a look at the different colors. And it's currently bid at $115. We would love to see that bid go up. And even if you're not a CPA or an accountant, and there is a CPA or an accountant in your life, or your son or daughter is studying accountancy in college, and you've got a birthday or a Christmas gift question coming up, now's the time to buy this painting, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to get any cheaper. It's only going to go up from here. We look forward to increasing that bid from the current $115. This is an opportunity for you to own a piece of art by an artist that normally goes well above $800, $900, $1,000, $1,200 for her larger pieces. This is a piece that will be in your family for a considerable period of time and will only appreciate in value as we go on. So with that, we're going to move on to my friend Elizabeth Cho's piece. I have known Elizabeth for a number of years. She's a photographer primarily, but she is a different type of artist in that she uses original photographic imagery. These are photographs that she takes herself, and then she manipulates them. There are a number of artists that are in the area, but few that do and execute this type of art as well as Elizabeth Cho does. This is a lake scene. It reminds me a whole lot of the Monet lily pond images from the French Impressionists. But what she does is she manipulates the image in the computer. Once she gets it to the desired state, then she prints that on an aluminum substrate. It's a high gloss finish. It looks like somebody finished it with a poly material, and it's something that is durable. Again, it's a larger piece. It looks to me to be approximately 20 inches by 30 inches. It is from a natural environment. In other words, somebody took the picture of the lake. That's Elizabeth. So it's original imagery. She makes it even more her imagery by altering it on the computer until she gets the look that she wants, and then she has that printed on a piece of aluminum. This is not an inexpensive piece of art. Current bid is at $145. Our starting bid was $75. You could see the interest in this particular piece, and it can only go up from there. What was our market price on this? Anybody? $225. So we're well below the market price. In general, I would tell you that Elizabeth's work runs a bit more expensive. She was kind enough to gift us this piece. She was here yesterday. It's rare that you get compliments from artists about the way that shows are hung, and she felt really good about our space and the way that we curated it. Our bid just went up to $145, so we would ask that you keep going on that. It's a great piece, go well just about any place in your home or office, and I can't say it often enough, ladies and gentlemen, Christmas is coming. This is something that anybody that is an art lover would enjoy having as a part of her collection. Glenn, what are your thoughts?
Can you talk a little bit more about the way this is produced? That's just fascinating to me. It's a photographer.
Yeah.
You take it and you manipulate it. And
So I don't know how many people are watching us live stream, or for that matter, that are in the room. I know that Matt, our camera guy, and actually he's the production god for us in all respects. But I can almost promise you he's had a camera other than video in his hand. And the whole idea about an image is you want something that is significantly better than humdrum. Right? Anybody can take a picture. I had a dear friend in the art business that said, I don't want to watch or see somebody's vacation pictures. So that's not what this is, right? This isn't somebody that went to the tidal basin down in D.C. and took an image. This is somebody, first and foremost, who's a good photographer. She found imagery that, again, for me, is very reminiscent of Monet's Lily Pond paintings, the French Impressionists. And then she takes that, it's a digital image, and she manipulates it on a computer until you get this kind of movement that's taken place, very reminiscent of the shimmer across a body of water when there's a slight breeze. That's how you get that change in imagery. So there's a tremendous amount of movement in it, and that's what really, as an artist, you want to try to create. You want somebody's eye not to necessarily just stick on one piece, but to notice the movement and feel like it's alive. And Elizabeth is able to accomplish that by her manipulations. So this is not just her photograph, it's her manipulation, and then it's her production on this, where she takes that image and has it printed on this aluminum substrate. It's hung for hanging, or it's mounted for hanging. There's a piece on the back. You can either hang it with wire or you can hang it with 2 individual nails so that you can get it on the wall straight. And it's one of those things that are very lightweight, so it'll stay on the wall in your environment. And I think it's something that you'll enjoy, especially as we approach the depths of winter. You're going to want to look back at how wonderful our summer was here in Leesburg and Northern Virginia, and this is something that should remind you. Our bid is currently at $145, ladies and gentlemen. We bid in $10 increments, and we hope that you bid that up well in excess of the $250 market price. So I'm lost. This is Mr. Marden, right? This is Russ Marden, Lavender Light. I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite pieces that are in the auction right now.
That's not blue. That's the abstract one blue.
Item number 47.
Thank you.
Right artist.
There it is, Abstract 1 Blue. It's a 16 by 12 inch item, acrylic on canvas. This is done with a palette knife. It's another hard way to get paint on any given surface. So the way, if I were standing over Russ Marden's shoulder, I believe that he painted this, is he takes the color scheme that he wants to put out there, decides what the colors are. There are a lot of different colors here, but it is primarily a red, yellow, blue, and green painting with some purple accents. That color combination is really famous across the art world, and very few people get it right. But when you're painting with a palette knife, it's a whole lot like watercolor and caustic. If you get it wrong, it all turns to brown, and you don't have any imagery whatsoever. Okay. So this is done in a horizontal format. It's longer or wider than it is tall, and Russ takes advantage of that format to create that kind of banded imagery that you see there. We have somebody in the audience here that says she sees a race car. I'm seeing that, the white portion of it. Are you up with that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah? What else you get out of it?
Well, I see the banana. See that yellow coming through across there?
Right.
But yeah, that's the one thing that's so beautiful about this. You can interpret how you want to, and you see so many different things, especially when you see from this angle.
Yeah.
You can see the what I would say, the finite of it, of how it was
Yeah.
done.
So I think what you're talking about, most of us are introduced to art and we see it as 2D. In other words, there's a height dimension and there's a width dimension. But when you're in the presence of some oil painting that's not done with really thin linseed oil and the rest of that, but has some heft to it, and certainly a lot of times with acrylic, you'll see a third dimension. So that's called impasto in the art school world, and they try to teach you that the lift of painting off of the surface itself creates that third dimension. I was introduced to that in an art museum in San Antonio, Texas as a 6-year-old kid. My mother had kind of given me a whole bunch of art books to take a look at, and they were colored, they were beautiful, but at the time that I was 6 years old, I was just convinced art existed in 2 dimensions, and that was all that you got. And I'm sitting there taking a look, much the same way that you are right now from the side. I was looking up at it, and there was a third dimension, and I was just blown away. It was one of those things that sucked me into painting and made me pick up and actually produce some of my first work. And Mr. Martin does a really good job of getting that third dimension on the canvas, so it's got a lot of lift. And it will make you, it's one of those pieces that will make you, once you take a look at it, you focus on it, now you want to get closer to see what's going on by the artist's hand. So this is manipulated. The artist has every intention of making that imagery do exactly what you're seeing. I'll tell you another, after we're talking about Russ's painting here, the current bid is $186. Ladies and gentlemen, we're bidding in $10 increments. This may have been due to the number of the painting on the gallery sheet, but in your next bid, if you could pump that up by $10, we'd certainly appreciate it. Item number one, we're going to a commercial break. Sorry, I've been interrupted here. We'll talk about Mr. Martin's work another time. Thank you. Increase your bid, and we're going to go to break.
Can I get paper towel? I do want to let you know is if you bid, and I know you're going to bid on some of these paintings, we're not mailing these to you. So if you know anybody that's close by, they can get this to you, or you can stop by and receive these. Just let us know, call the number or something, but we're not mailing them, so that means you have to come by and talk to the artist and talk to Jim and I, and we can tell you more about it. So, Jim, what is the next piece?
Yeah, so the next piece is again by Russ Martin. And as we're talking about this is a completely different type of painting for Russ. The other is abstract. This is representational. And what you're taking a look at, I believe that's called an elephant ear, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, well done. It's a botanical piece in green on a black background. This is called representational. In other words, when you look at the art, it looks like something that you recognize. Russ's work, I think, is very interpretive. He's one of those artists that has a keen focus on his subject matter, and he does a really good job of bringing it forward. So if you have an environment in your home where you get a lot of plants or you love plants as a consumer, this is one of those pieces. Our current bid is $163, and we've got a couple of different people that are tracking with it.
I just like the background, how it stands out. That's what caught my eye. It's very striking. It's the dark with the green and how the white just brings it out, coming through the spine of it. I really like this piece.
Yeah, so this is acrylic on canvas. It's mounted on a board, and then that board is used as the backing for that black frame that you see here. It's wired and ready to hang. Again, our current price is $163. Thank you for that last bid. This is a piece On your gallery sheet, it's number 113 by Russ Martin, local artist. It's 16 inch by 16 inch, and the bid goes on that. I believe this is another Maggie Steinhelper.
Item number 113, 113.
How much is that issue?
That's number 18. Lady Gillis.
Lady Gill, 18, sorry.
Yeah, Lady Gillis by Maggie Steinhelper. 12 inch by 24 inch. It's acrylic on canvas. I'm going to tell you right now, the imagery there, which I got to tell you is, I don't know if it's a condor or if it's one of the turkey buzzards around town. But buzzards were almost our national bird. I don't know if you guys knew that. Turkeys were in the running, but when we chose an eagle as our national symbol, all three of these birds were considered to be survivors, very hardy, extraordinarily difficult to kill. And those were all the concepts or the reputation, if you would, that the deciders of our national symbol considered as we chose the eagle. But in this case, we've got Lady Gillis. It's acrylic on canvas. The contrast is between that real rust, woody color at the bottom that the bird is standing on. For you that understand the side eye, this bird is all giving us all the side eye. And I think it's well rendered here. That background has quite a bit of impasto or relief on it. Our current bid is $163. We'd love to see that go up. Lady Gillis has a market value of $250. And this is something, because of its size and the dimensions of it, right? It's taller than it is wide. You could find a space for this on a thin wall in your home or office. If you're into the Audubon and birds, and I have a person in my life that's an avid bird watcher, this is one of those things that you would want to have around. Glenn, you got any comments?
I just love the detail of it. Everything that is done from the neck on, just the details, extraordinary detail.
Yeah, the bird's got a turtleneck, so it's going to be warm this winter. And again, our price at $163. We've got a couple of people that are interested in it. Acrylic on canvas by Maggie Steinhelper. Okay, days like these. Item number 54. This is another Andrea Siebeck. It's one of her band paintings. We talked about this quite a bit if you're joining us late. Andrea is the curator of art at 868 Winery. If you ever go out there and you notice how wonderful the art show is, or the art that's hanging in their tasting room, it can be credited to Andrea Siebeck. Andrea is very involved in the art scene around Washington, D.C. This is part of the Color Band series. It appears to be, and I believe that it is, on what they call a cradled board. So this is not on canvas. This is on a board. It's really a solid substrate. There's no flexibility in it. Lots of the background is done in a pure white. And she is able to achieve kind of a translucence in these color bands. They look a lot like ribbons that you would wrap your Christmas presents with, ladies and gentlemen. The sides are painted in a beautiful kind of turquoise steel blue. And she's really working the color wheel for color contrast. Red against green, yellow against blue. Those are the primary colors that we're working with. Not all primary, sorry. But it creates that color contrast. It really makes it interesting. The other thing about it is it's got a lot of movement because of the bands and the color contrast. Your eyes don't fix on a single spot. It travels around the painting, and that's really what great painting's about.
Exactly. It leads your eyes lead you to interpret what you're seeing, and not everybody's going to see the same thing because you can, especially again with me, angles. You see different things as you move around. But you said that, like in the other piece, it looks simplistic, but this is
Yeah, this is a complex process, and it has a lot of depth. One of the hard things to do when you're painting imagery like this is to make it have depth. And I know when you're looking on the computer screen, you may not notice it, but for Glenn and I, as we take a look at it, these green lines, this little green line on the top here and that one, it's at the very top of the imagery, and you can tell that there are other pieces of the imagery that are far back in the painting. And so those green lines float, and it creates that kind of depth of when you view it that gives the painting life and emotion, and that causes people to want to hang out with it a little bit longer than something else that you may have hanging. So our current bid in this is days like these, $163. We're bidding in $10 increments, and we would love to see that bid go up. This is something, again, Andrea Seebeck's a class-worthy artist in the D.C., Maryland, West Virginia area. She has a tremendous number of followers. She's well respected, and she's doing imagery and painting in a way that almost nobody else does. So these are unique pieces. She may do them in a series. She has a large series of these banded or ribbon paintings, and this is an opportunity for you to own one of those by one of the area's best artists. We're going to go to a piece now by Arige, and I'm trying to remember Arige's last name. Yeah, Arige's got 5 pieces in our show. She is shown at Tris Gallery and a number of other galleries in the area. Her first name, Arige Al-Kazi. She's from Iraq. She's taken art classes in the area. She's a world traveler. She took some continuing design education at RISD. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know anything about Rhode Island School of Design for continuing education, it's not easy to get into. They don't just let everybody walk into the place. She is painting in acrylic on canvas, I believe, in this case. And this is another one of those pond images, obviously at sunset with the reflections of the sunset in the water. I think Arige's paintings are very emotional. And although the imagery itself is not particularly complex, it does allow you to completely understand what she's trying to paint. Our current price on this is $179. We're bidding in $10 increments here. This is approximately 16 by 24 in its size. And it's one of those pieces that, in my opinion, I'm reading it as very feminine as she is. And it would work well in just about any environment. The color schemes, that contrast of pink and blue is really nice. It's soft tones. It's a relaxing image. It's something that, I'm sorry, I've just been corrected. It's not acrylic, it's oil on canvas. But it is a relaxing image, and it's something that you could live with without, at the end of a long day, where people are giving you negative news, or God forbid that you're actually watching some of the news online these days. This is something that you could look at with a chamomile tea and chill out.
Yeah, the colors. The color says it all. It just puts you at ease. It just relaxes you. I like the color scheme on this.
Right. So our next one is Dandelion. It's our first photograph of the auction. And this is approximately 12 inches by 14 or 15 inches. It's called Dandelion. On your gallery sheet, it's item number 109. John Kinney. Digital photograph on archival glissé paper. The image itself is 8-inch by 12-inch. And if I'm not mistaken, this is starting bid at $184. It's got a market price of approximately $250. So this is a macro photograph. I don't know if you've ever worked with photography. I know that some of you that are watching this live streaming right now are probably photographers. It's a really excellent image, well produced, a lot of clarity, and a lot of natural color. It's not highly manipulated. What you may notice when you look at digital photographs to purchase online, A lot of photographers will use what's called a high dynamic range, HDR. This photograph is not done with high dynamic range, and that's why you see that softer image. The colors are not pumped up or manipulated at all. It's a soft imagery, a little bit of soft focus. Glenn, you got any impressions about this?
Now, again, seeing it from where we're sitting at, I just like how the picture, it's offset by, and I never thought this, the framing, or if it's in glass and stuff, that gives it such a, it just boosts up the whole
Right.
photo.
So as a photographer, one of the things that you endeavor to do is to not have your image exactly in the center of your print. And so our artist here has shifted that primary image a bit lower. And as Glenn and I were talking about earlier, that concept of the thirds, where the top 2/3 is kind of a non-space or negative space here, and then the bottom 1/3 has our primary image and then some accent pieces. So our current bid on this is $185. It's called Dandelion. It's $109 on your gallery sheet. It has a market price of $285, and we're at the reserve, ladies and gentlemen. When you buy this at $185, Loudoun Cares is not receiving a lot of the benefit that we would from some of these other purchases. So we really ask you, number one, his work goes generally market price quite a bit higher than our current bid, and we're looking for your support by driving that bid up a bit so that Loudoun Cares is the beneficiary of some of the final bid price.
Exactly. You're online now because you want to help Loudoun Cares and you want to bid on some good art, and we want you to have the good art, but we also want to help our community. So help us help our community, and let's get those bids up there on these pieces.
So Dusk on the deck is by Carolyn Baggin. It's acrylic on canvas. It's a 20-inch by 20-inch fully wrapped canvas stretcher. So that painting goes around 5 different surfaces, top, bottom, both sides, and the primary surface facing the viewer. This is a backlit piece. You can see that it's through reeds and grasses at sunset. It's a very difficult thing to get that imagery on the canvas properly. And kudos to our painter here, because my eye, anyway, when I take a look at it, drops to the lower right-hand side. That's the sunset piece of it. And at the same time, you don't lose sight of those silhouettes of the grasses and reeds. It's very peaceful. I spent a lot of time on the Potomac River, and this is one of those images that you would see if you were late getting off the river. That beautiful blue sky with the clouds lit by the sunset. And it's just one of those things that you want to sit down with. Me personally, a nice adult beverage over ice would do just fine with my feet up on the back deck. Trying to find a sunset like this would be very enjoyable. So,
Yeah, what I like is, just like you said, your eyes immediately go down to see the sun, but you have to go through the different colors to see that sun.
Yeah.
So you see the whole piece in such a different way.
that color gradation is really satisfying, right? As it goes from that darker kind of violet up at the top to the pink to the black at the bottom, all without sacrificing that sunset. So let's talk about production a little bit here. Our current bid is $205, by the way. We've got a couple of people that are taking a look at this. Dusk on the Deck is item number 77 on your gallery sheet. Market price is well over $300. Our current price is $205, so got a way to go on this. But from a production standpoint, as a younger painter, I was really baffled by how people got vertical imagery on the page. What did you do? Because once you put a mark down, it's very difficult to put another mark on top of it. Depth is an elusive element in painting. And so if you were to look at some of the really great French Impressionists, Fontainebleau painters, any of the people that came before them, what you will discover is the pieces that are furthest in the distance are the ones that are painted first, because you've got both vertical imagery, and then you've got pieces that either go purely at a right angle to it or a 45 angle. Any of the pieces that are painted closer to the viewer here, those are the last images that were painted on the piece. And again, this is something that you can't redo. It's very difficult once you get a lot of imagery on it to figure out that you made a terminal mistake and have to go back and try to fix it. Once you've put a color mix together and painted that substrate of violet to pink to brighter pink to the white for the sunset and ultimately at the bottom, you can't recreate that violet. Chances are that violet's either dried out on your easel or your palette, and you just can't recreate it. So you got to get it on there first. Every subsequent stroke that you put on it has to be in the right place. These are things that are highly thought out. 90% of the time, a painter will sit down and draw their imagery a couple of times just so they get their brain around what they're trying to do. For the most part, imagery like this is not intuitively painted. Anything else, Glenn?
No, you said it all. I mean, for Jim has just said it so well, the things I try to convey about this, but again, I just like the color in it and how, again, it makes you look at it and the depth of that. So,
okay,
like
so this market value, $300, we're at $205. We would beg you to increase your bidding at this time. Right now, we're going to promote the gift basket again. If you didn't see it the first time, all I'm going to tell you is I really want the basket. Glenn can keep the rest of the stuff.
Oh man, so it's a value of $1,200, $1,200, what we would say. But listen, here's what I'm saying. Monty and I, myself, this is Monty. We have a beautiful bottle of wine. This wine is, no, what? How much is this wine? You seen that thing up there, Monty? It's $200 for this wine. Well, I love it, love it, love it. So you have $2 money. And then Monty and I ourselves, we're fighting over this bourbon. We love this. But you just have so many different items that you have here. Again, the Olympic skater. An Olympic skater. So if you're into skating, which I can't do, but it's an Olympian, so I might try it. I think we all will try it. But Monty, this is a great basket, and I'm telling you, get a raffle. If you're not going to buy any art, raffle, support Loudoun Cares. Thank you so much. And it's only $10. Oh, excuse me. It's only $10
For a raffle.
Per raffle. And we have only 48 tickets, so what is going on here? Let's get those up, okay? It's for Loudoun Cares.
Glenn, did you say the wine is by Tarara?
Yes.
So what year is that, and what's the vintage?
So 2016, Longbone from Ferrara.
All right, so 2016 is the only time they bottled that. That grape's not going to be grown, well, even if they did grow the grape again, it's not going to taste the same because the climate in 2016 is different than it is in 2020. That bottle is a unique bottle of wine that once you open it and you pour it, chances are you're never going to taste that wine again. And it's from one of the leading wineries in Northern Virginia. It's award-winning, and we appreciate you listening to us. We went from 48 to an extra 5 ticket buyers. There's wine glasses in there. There's all kinds of other items that you would enjoy. I have to tell you, you may not be seeing the reed basket the way that I am, but that reed basket is awesome, and it would do all kinds of things in your home, ladies and gentlemen, from a decoration standpoint. So please buy those raffle tickets.
And and remember, you can also get a distillery tour from Catoctin Creek Distillery in Percival. So let's do that. And again, that value of that basket is $1,200. Okay? So, and all you gotta do is spend $10 to get $1,200. Spend $40. Spend $60.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are approximately halfway through time-wise in our streaming gallery, and we're a little under halfway through in the number of pieces that we're going to be able to present to you. So we're going to hasten this a bit. We're going to show you a piece over here to my right. If you've ever driven down Loudoun Street in Leesburg, Virginia, in front of the town of Leesburg's parking garage, chances are you have seen the log cabin. Obviously, this is not the original location of the log cabin. They picked this building up and they moved it to this site. It's also one of the places that Loudoun Museum, the bulk of their collection is in the large white masonry building that's immediately west of it on the other side of one of the town's gardens. But the log cabin is where they do a lot of the interface with the general public during First Fridays and some of the other events. And as I say, Loudoun Street is one of our most traveled streets, especially in the morning rush hour between 7 and 9 a.m. And this red door that you see on the log cabin is one of those iconic images in downtown Leesburg. Downtown Leesburg is a 270-year-old community. It is widely considered one of the best architecturally preserved communities in America. It's award-winning. And that log cabin is one of those pieces. Our current bid for it is $195. It's excellently rendered. And let's talk about production on this a little bit, Glenn. This is a framed piece. It's set into the frame. It's on a canvas substrate, and it's really well done. The trees, which I got to tell you, I don't do trees well. I probably suck at trees. But this is done extraordinarily well.
Very well.
And it includes a bit of the street. It's got a lot of scale to it. It's got a lot of depth. That blue sky in the background is very convincing. You get a view of the eastern elevation and the southern elevation of the log cabin. It's a very famous image within our community. The bid currently is at $195. We've got a market value on this of $300. We're bidding in $10 increments. We would hope that somebody who really loves the town of Leesburg, and I'm hoping that Marantha Edwards, our former Director of Economic Development for the town, our current Director of Economic Development, Russ Seymour, is looking at this because this would look well in both of your homes. Again,
You've been called out. So for people that aren't from here, this is Loudoun County. So we're about Loudoun County. So this piece here, Leesburg, downtown Leesburg, is in Loudoun County, and we're, as we say, we're Loudoun County. We're here to support Loudoun County. So get that piece.
all right, I'm remiss in not telling you that this is by Ann Stewart Ford. She is one of our local artists. We've seen her work a number of times. She is consumed regularly. And this is something that would, if you're a history buff, that would age well in your possession. So with that being said, thank you very much to Ann for participating and providing this piece as a part of the live stream auction. And we're going to move on to our next one. Glenn, I'm going to leave this to you to start with. What are your general impressions?
Well, you know, I happen to know the artist personally, and when I saw this piece, I was saying, you know, it's one of those pieces that you look at and you say, wow. If I look at it, I see different things. I see, even looking straight on, you see the face, but it looks like I'm seeing different phases of the face by just looking at it. And then I like this whole, the color scheme in itself, because it really works.
Right. And so you say you know the artist?
I know the artist.
Yeah. How well do you know the artist?
Well, I think the artist is somebody that we work with on this board.
Yeah,
you know?
she helped us put this show together.
She sure did, you know.
All right, so this is an abstracted portrait piece called Pink Lady, and it is by our own Cindy Jackson Clark.
Who happens to be right here.
Not often you get to actually see the person that painted it, but it is an acrylic piece on canvas, 24 inches by 24 inches. It's stretched, and it's also a collage. So one of the things, I don't know how tight you are focusing on this piece right now, Matt, but behind that black paint imagery, the black and blue imagery that you see there that Cindy's put on it, are a couple of different pieces of paper that are collaged on the background. And Glenn has mentioned that you see actually a couple of different sides of the portrait. That's a cubist, and there were a couple of painters, Picasso was one of them, that really got deeply into cubism. This has a cubism element to it, and it's also, along with that acrylic paint, it's collaged. This, I got to tell you, is the direction of modern art in America. There are a lot of people that are doing collage works with acrylic and or oil, but the way that we're able to get modern content into our paintings is with collage imagery. We are so bombarded by media these days that art competes actively with whatever we see on our television. And so as an artist, I think you have to co-opt some of that imagery with collage and put it into the painting itself. And I can't quite tell, but I'm pretty sure those lips are collaged on there as well. Am I right, Cindy? No, they're painted on. Okay, I've been corrected. Yeah. So this piece is currently bid at $195. It's available market value at $300. This is something that is very feminine in its imagery. And I will tell you, I've sold a lot of this type of imagery to bridal salons, to people that hold wedding venues. And there is a similar painting that's sitting in one of the wedding venues in downtown Leesburg in the bride's room. So where the bride goes to get ready for the wedding event itself, the pink imagery is very reinforcing. It's also one of the more calming imagery colors that you might experience. And that's one of the reasons why something like this would be great in that type of environment, in the bride's room of a wedding venue while somebody's getting ready to say their vows. Anything else, Glenn?
No, I just keep those bids coming.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Cindy again. It is a brave artist, number one, that ever endeavors to pick up a brush and put it on a canvas. It is a braver artist that has the hubris to actually show. And we hope that you applaud the courage of our painter here and get that bid someplace well above the $300 market value. I don't know where we're at with breaks right now, but I do know we're going to go to We Stand in the Sunset. So I know for a fact this is Ann Stein, just by looking at it. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you enough about Ann Stein. I think she's one of the loveliest people that I've met. She and her husband are both just tremendous citizens of the county. They are your neighbors. The people that we're showing you here, you live generally within 10 miles of them. Chances are you've passed them in the grocery store or you've eaten in the same restaurant at the table next to them. These are your neighbors. And if you ever meet, if you're ever lucky enough to meet Ann Stein, you will see her as not only the lovely human being she is on the outside, but she's a beautiful human on top of that. And I always have difficulty thinking of Ann with a blowtorch in her hand. That sort of contrast is really what we're talking about here. And not only does she paint in what is admittedly with brutal tools, she paints in such a daring and sensitive way. She's able to capture that orange to yellow portion of the painting in a very convincing way. The reflection of the orange and the yellow off of the water that you see in the lower half of the imagery. This is, I'm going to touch her work. Yes, I hope it doesn't make her unhappy, but I'm going to show you the side of this. If you can zoom into it, you're going to see that the wax actually drips off of the edge of the painting. It's highly finished. It's very durable. And again, I hope Ann's not mad at me for touching some of her work. But this is done on cradled board. It's something that will last you generations. And it's imagery that really is not tied to a specific time or place. This could be in Colorado, at Lake Tahoe. It could be in any of the California lakes. It could be in Lake of the Ozarks. So the location of it, you can't tie it to a specific location. It's also a universal image. I don't know if you guys saw King Kong, but at the end of all the ravaging of King Kong walking around with a girl in his left paw, at the end of a hard day, he sits down at the top of the mountain and goes, harumph. And what he's looking at is a sunset just like this. So if you want to find yourself at the end of the day in front of imagery that actually relaxes you, regardless of what your beverage might be, it could be chamomile tea for Glenn, it could be an adult beverage for me. This is currently bid at $255, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that last $10 increment.
I wanted to say this, and real quick, because I know we have so much more art to go through. Mm-hmm. I know you say it's a blowtorch, but how do you get it that delicate?
Yeah.
From a blowtorch?
Well, skill. First of all, she's just a master. She teaches this particular medium. And there's a plate that looks a whole lot like a crepe plate. It's warmed, and you take this cold wax, you mix it with a color powder, and we're up to $265. You guys are doing a great job out there. She mixes it with a cold color powder until it's in a ball. And then you set it on top of the plate. It warms enough so that there's adherence to the substrate, this cradled board. And then she lights that blowtorch once she gets the color in all of the places and starts moving it around. So when you see this kind of fire effect that's going on in the deep orange in the imagery, that's Ann and her skill being able to create that specific portion of this piece of art. I guess you can call it painting, but it's painting in a way that we're not used to, right? This is
Right.
not liquid color, oil, or acrylic. This is a hard material. It has to be melted, and then it has to be pushed around. It's the only thing it understands. It has to be pushed around by fire in order to create that. And again, this is a piece currently at $265. It's by Ann Stein. If you don't buy her painting, at least take a lesson from her. I know there are a lot of people out there that are into power tools, whether it's a circular saw, a band saw, or just a plain old handheld saw. You would dig this kind of art because you're dealing with power.
Yeah, contact Ann.
Yeah,
That's great
absolutely.
stuff. Look what we have over here.
All right, we're moving to our left. We stand at dusk. This is Howell's Eyes. It's item number 124. This is a Russ Martin piece. So before we get really deep into this piece, what I want to tie is the similarity between what we just saw as an encaustic piece. This is a painted piece. And yet it looks remarkably like encaustic work.
Exactly.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
With the exception of the shine finish that Ann's able to imbue to the piece we just saw. This is done acrylic on canvas. It's a 12-inch by 12-inch image. It has a custom painted frame. So one of the movements in modern art, I would say in the late 1980s, early 1990s, was people really wanted to break the edges of the painting. Those hard edges form a boundary for a lot of art. And it's difficult to get the art outside of the substrate. In this case, it's canvas that he's painted on. So he's mounted this again in what's called a shadow frame. In other words, it floats on the inside of the frame that you see. And he's chosen to go ahead and paint the frame itself. So the art is not just on the canvas, the 12-inch by 12-inch canvas, but it's grown now beyond that, and it's taken on a life of its own as it creeps out over and onto the frame. It's an image of an owl. It's pointillist. I'm not saying that it's pointless. It's pointillist, and which is one of the pieces of the Impressionist movement in the 18th century. The 19th century, in the 1800s. The late 1800s was when the French Impressionists were. And there were a couple of the painters. Seurat's Sunday in the Park is the painting that most people know. It was painted over and over again. This is very similar to that pointillism, and they take a daub of paint and they put that paint on there one at a time. So it's not brushed on. You don't see the brushwork that you normally see. And as a result, you get a lot of heavy impasto at the top of the head of the owl, around the eyes. Glenn and I can see what you may not be able to see from the streaming imagery. There's a lot of lift on that painting, or impasto, to pack in the painting on top of itself. My mother, God rest her soul, was an owl freak. She had owls and chickens all over her house, and this would be one of those things that she would have snapped up immediately. So if you have people in your life that collect owls, and there are a lot of people that do, this is one of those things that they would receive a lot of joy from. Our current bid on this is $206. I'll tell you that Howell's Eyes has a market value of $225. Ladies and gentlemen, every cent above our reserve goes to Loudoun Cares. And why should our streaming video watchers care?
Oh,
about
you
Loudoun
should
Cares?
care, because Loudoun Cares, we help so many people in the community. And you know, with the way things are going today, it's not your fault. It's happening. You know, we have this pandemic, we have job loss, we have so much. But Loudoun Cares can help, and we want to help, and that's why we're here. So support the artists, support the community. But most of all, let's get those bids up, and that money that you're giving can be used so greatly and deeply. And also, don't forget about that basket. We got to get those raffles in there. And speaking of, I think we have something else that we want to do today. And we have some T-shirts with Loudoun Cares, and you have to come on and get some of these shirts. Again, if you're not going to buy the art, get a basket. Get a T-shirt. We even have masks. I mean, Loudoun Cares, we're not playing. We got it all. So our fine models will bring up the Loudoun shirt. And gentlemen, just take your time, man. Slow down in front of that camera and show these T-shirts and hold them up. There you go. And you see they are wearing these shirts. This can be yours. This can be yours today. Support Loudoun Cares, okay? And again, all these dollars will go straight to Loudoun Cares. And these are our members of the board here that you're seeing, and we appreciate the support. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Good job. You guys could be models.
So get those T-shirts.
All right, on my right is an oil painting by Melinda Harrelman. It's called Botanical Garden Pink Orchid. There's a lot going on here. And again, the first thing I want to talk with you about is the color contrast between the pinks, reds, that whole group in the top 60% of the imagery, the green and the really deep dark greens in the background, in the bottom 35 or so percent of the imagery. This is mounted in a floating frame that is made out of reclaimed barnwood. So if you have an environment that is more rustic, this is something that would go perfect, but I'd like to spend a couple of minutes about the frame. A lot of times you'll see paintings in a gallery available online, and they're mounted inside this shiny gold frame that almost anybody can buy at Michael's. Nothing against Michael's. I buy a lot of my art. Thank you guys so much for giving me the discounts that you do. They're a great organization. But that's the pedestrian version of framing. Instead, what we have here is an artist that has gone out and found a frame that fits her piece, or made the frame that fits her piece, that's out of reclaimed barnwood. And in the art world, the more that you consume, the more sensitive that you become and educated that you become in how to frame pieces. This is the kind of thing that you want to do. But that's as much as I'm going to say about that wonderful frame that she's put it in. What we have here is a photoreal image of a botanical piece. These are orchids, which I don't know how you feel about orchids, but orchids have a lot of shall we say, history and mythology around them. It's beautifully done as a representational piece. You look at it and you immediately recognize it for the floral content that it has. And if you're a botanist or anybody that knows their flowers, you immediately know that this is an orchid. The color contrast is truly amazing. If you saw this in person, you would see that it is painted thinly in oil. It's relatively flat. It doesn't have a lot of impasto work on it, so the paint's not lifting off. But the imagery itself is so exquisitely done that when you're looking at it, you're not doubting anything about that imagery. It is very feminine, in my opinion. Not that the ladies in the audience are the only ones that ought to be buying this, but if you're a lover of flowers and anything in the botanical range, this is something that would serve you well and for a long time. Because it's an oil painting, it's another one of those mediums that will last a tremendous amount of time in your family. And the way to think about local, original art is, first of all, it's just like antiques. If you see it and you love it, you should be buying it right now. We have somebody who's bidding at $244 for this piece, and it's got a $375 market value. So we've got a ways to go there. But the point that I'm trying to make in our current bid at a $370 and a $375 market price is this is a true bargain. And it's something that will be in your life for a long, long time. This telephone I bought, my memory is it's $600. This will probably go away sometime in the next 2 months. If I were to own this painting, this will be around at least for 2 decades in my life. It lasts a long time, therefore it has a lot of value at $245, and I would encourage you to bid up if you can.
Oh, most definitely. And this picture, again, trying to capture it, it looks like, as you get closer, you just want to smell it, that you can smell it. It looks so real. It's like you can just touch and smell those flowers from here. So I tell you, it's well worth every penny that's there on for you. It's well worth over $300 and more.
Yeah, so we have a current bid of $245, excuse me, bid in $10 increments, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lovely piece. You'll enjoy it for the rest of your life, and we're going to move on to the next bid. So I first met Luis Apolinario at Trist Gallery, and he's a unique painter. One of the things about artists is I think a lot of people have difficulty finding imagery that hasn't been painted a million times before. And I think when you're looking at Fried Egg by Luis Apolinario, you've got one of those uncommon images. I know you don't, you may not think about it. A lot of people that buy art goes, yeah, I'm going to put that in my living room. Let me tell you, there are so many places in your house that you can put a piece of art. I've got art in the bathroom. I've got art hanging out in my kitchen over the stove. I've got art in the entryway of my home and almost any other place that I can reasonably hang a piece of art. I also have art in my closet. So this is a piece that you could actually put in a dining area or breakfast nook or something like that, and it resonates because of its context, imagery, and its connection to the context of where it's hung. I don't know if you cook fry eggs, but Luis has just nailed this.
No, that most of it. It looks so realistic. I mean, it looks
Right.
like for right now you could you just want to grab it.
Put your finger in the middle of that yolk.
And you can have that in the front. So those of you that come over, hang over, you've been out all night, hung over, and you want something to eat, and you turn around and you say, "Oh, I can do eggs," because you have that right there, and that looks so great. So for all my hungover folks.
Yeah, I don't know how many pieces you're ever going to see or how many paintings you're ever going to see of an egg, let alone a fried egg. But this is an opportunity to own a beautiful piece by Luis Apolinario, and you can decide where you're going to put it. It is oil on wood panel. It's 60-inch by 20-inch. It's framed in a nice, flat, black frame. That imagery floats on that turquoise background. It's really nice, the contrast of color between that bright, bright yellow with the light reflecting off of the yolk and contrasting it against that turquoise background. This is something.
It's really good. And I'm looking at the yolk, how perfect that yolk
Yeah.
looks. It just
Is that
looks-
over medium, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, it is sunny side up. So I'd see how much I cook breakfast.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
All right.
But somebody made it perfectly.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to another Luis Apolinario painting, and it is called Grapes. It's oil on a wood panel, 16-inch by 24-inch, and I think it is item number 4 on your gallery sheet if you're looking online. This painting is oil on board. Luis seems particularly fascinated right now with light reflections off of smooth surfaces, and he's doing a really good job with these grapes. Again, this is representational. In other words, when you look at it, you know immediately what it is. If the artist has done a good job, you know it's grapes. If not, then the artist might need to do some additional work. Luis has got a perfected painting here, and it probably ought to be in your hands.
Oh, most definitely. So here you eat the egg, and then you go for those grapes. The grapes look very juicy. They look, again, so real. It's so, the attention to detail, and I'm looking at it from the background, how the background brings out those grapes even more.
Yeah, it's really well done in oil. That oil sits pretty flatly on the wood panel, so very little in the way. There's a little bit of impasto or lift of that painting that's on there. You see the vine work that he's doing, all set against that deep emerald green background. He's even done a good job of painting the shadows of the grapes on that emerald green background. And I'll tell you that shadow is painted in an even darker green than the background is. A lot of what happens in relatively inexperienced painters is they just see it as a shadow and they paint it in a flat black. And that's not what's taking place here. This is a very nuanced painting, lots and lots of different variations of green color. And the color contrast there is happening in that deep burgundy grape color at the bottom. It's almost like it is standing on top of the board itself. This would look great in your home. And again, another one of those things, if you don't have any art that's hanging in your kitchen, this is something that would go really well. If Doug Fabioli is looking at this and streaming online, this is one of those things that you could hang in Fabiola Cellar's tasting room or any of the other wonderful wine cellars that are out there. Or if you have a tasting room in your basement. This is something that you would dig having there. It's in context and something that you would have around for a long time.
So what we do want to remind you is that we're not going to have the opportunity to show all the art that we have. So continue to look online and bid on the other pieces as well. But as we're going through the bids that you do see, the pieces that you do see, please, we're asking you just to keep on bidding on those as well. But feel free to go on and bid on everything that you see online.
All right, our next one is The Raven by Maggie Steinhelper. Again, Maggie shows in the local area a lot. This is another encaustic piece. We've talked about that a lot. This is using a blowtorch to put spread some wax around. The wax starts out to be kind of a flat, it's not clear, it's cloudy. It's mixed with that dry powder until you get the color that you're looking for. So in terms of painting, generally you can say if you want to make a green, you can start off with something that's bright red and add white to it until you get the hue and the density that you want in pink. That's not the case here. You have to really know what color you're going for as you begin to add color into the wax, the original matte wax. And then you warm that ball of wax on the warming plate, and once you have it placed on the cradled board, as is this case, you start pushing it around with a blowtorch. If you're an Edgar Allan Poe fan, this painting is for you. What was the quote? Thus spoke the raven?
Thus spoke the raven. Right? And listen, this raven's giving me the side eye. I'm sitting here, every time I move, this raven is watching me.
Right.
So, listen, if you like to be watched around the house, look at the raven there. The raven's
right.
watching.
Chances are the raven's going to be watching you everywhere you move. Or if you're an ornithologist or any of the other bird lovers, this is really, really well done. That space between the top and bottom portion of the beak is well accentuated. These are birds that have a lot of color in them, and so there's a lot of different shades of black and gray in there against that blue sky. I have to tell you, from my point of view, you may not see this when you're seeing it online, but the clouds that she's been able to create at the top and below the beak there are really wonderfully well rendered. Excuse me. And I believe with that we're going
to a commercial break.
All right, we'll be back and talk with you soon.
I'd always loved magazines. I'd always loved community publications, and decided that I would start this magazine.
Leesburg Lifestyle. I adore selling stories. We'd like to say that Leesburg Lifestyle is all about great stories beautifully told. That's really what we're about.
The magazine plays a really valuable role in this community in getting the word out with in-depth articles, with incredible photographs.
Working with Han is great. The reason I am doing ads is because of him. He's always thinking of me and my brand and always approaching me with different ideas, different ways that I can showcase what I'm doing.
I sell luxury country properties in Loudoun County, and I've had a lot of success since advertising with Leesburg Lifestyle.
Putting an image into something like a publication helps align our brand with another brand that understands that level of integrity that we're trying to form with our clients.
It's really nice to have someone that is going to work for me and have the same values that I do. I mean, the truth is you really are treated like family, you know, and that's what you want.
We pick quality partners to work with. If you're a quality partner and you think your business is the best in Loudoun County, we would love to talk to you and love to help you and work with you and build your brand.
Welcome back, everybody. And again, we appreciate you being online here with us and for this great thing that we're doing tonight here at the art auction. But I do want to take the time, like I said, there's several things you can go. If you're not interested in the art, you can go get a raffle for the basket we had talked about, or the T-shirts, but I got something else for you. And you're going to need this. Come on. So I'm going to bring along my models for this evening. And we got masks for you. Loudoun Care masks. Yes, the one and only. You too. But wait, there's more. No, but the Loudoun Care masks, and all proceeds goes to Loudoun Cares. So spend some time, get those masks, contact us, go right online there at Loudoun Cares and get some of those masks. With that, Jim?
All right. Again, welcome back. You guys are doing a great job as an audience bidding these things up. Again, every cent above the artist reserve on these goes to Loudoun Cares. We do appreciate your support. So this is another piece by Andrea Siebeck. The order in which we're doing the presentation of these pieces of work is the work that has experienced online bidding activity up to this point. As you'll notice, we're at, I think, number 31 out of a total of 50 that we're going to talk with you about this evening. The art auction itself has a total of 125 paintings. Some of those are more expensive, some of them are less expensive. It just depends on how much wall space you want to cover. We've spoken about Andrea Siebeck and her process of painting. This is another one of them in the Color Strands or Ribbons series. This is actually the first painting that she did when she moved into her new studio. Art and the act of creation is not something that's easy. You have to have a muse that really inspires you to create something. I'll tell you from my own experience, it's very difficult to come in at the end of a really hard day and you're perhaps not feeling all that great, to somehow or another shut off the outside influences and sit down and try to create something with love. And that's what's required. You really do have to, be emotional about the creative process. Otherwise, the end painting is not going to speak to you, the viewer. And I think that Andrea does put a tremendous amount of emotion in her work. This is another one of those. It is vertical in its orientation. It is approximately 20 inches by 20 inches. It's on this canvas substrate on a stretcher. It doesn't need a frame. If you're not inclined to frame your work, you don't have to spend another dime on it, and it's hang ready inside your environment. And I think it speaks to a lot of different people. As Glenn and I were talking about over the last few days, representational art is something, when you look at it, you know what it is, and it's pretty finite. It's either a dog, or it's the flower, or it's the tree and the landscape, or it's that ocean and seascape the artist is trying to create. Abstract is something different. It speaks to every single person that sees it in a different way. This is one of those things because of the variability of the paint when she puts on it, when she paints it with that brayer. The spread of that color doesn't go on consistently. It's not flat in its application. So it looks very jewel-like. It has a lot of reflection in it. It looks like ribbons being caught in the light. The analogy that I share with people about her work a lot of times, if you've seen wrapped packages at Christmas, Christmas is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. If you see wrapped packages at Christmas, you'll notice that those ribbons and the bows all reflect light from the interior. And that's what this has going on for it, is it has a lot of reflection. It doesn't rely upon the lighting in the room in order to get that reflection and communicate it to the viewer. But there you have it. It's done in a series of primarily greens and blues. The contrast in this case is the whites and yellows. So it has a very, when I say nautical, it has a very watery feel to me, right? It feels like it's water and running down the surface of that. You have any other images? Impressions?
For me, this is the kind of piece that if I'm sitting in a doctor's office or a waiting area or something, I'm just looking at it because I'm fixated, and it takes your mind away from everything, just sitting there, just waiting for them to call your name. This has that kind of thing where you just look at it, and there's so many different things you see in that.
Yeah, it would be great in any number of environments. We've talked about where you can hang art. We can talk about how you can create impressions in your home for the people that visit you for the first time, or just for your own enjoyment. For me, quite honestly, the art that I have in my home is for me. It's there because I like it, and it communicates something emotionally for me. And that's what Andrea's work, in my opinion, does. So we're currently at $283. This is a piece of work that has a market value of well over $450. You could take a look at it on your gallery sheet. We would encourage you to bid well above this. That extra money goes to benefit Loudoun Cares. That's why we're having the streaming auction. We really do appreciate your involvement in it. So we're going to transition over to a piece now by George Jacobs. George is absolutely one of my favorite artists in this show. I don't have a tremendous amount of experience with him, but what is readily apparent from his work is he is a master watercolorist. This guy knows what he's doing with watercolors. Again, in my feeble attempts with watercolors, I end up with a lot of really dark brown imagery because I don't know how to put it on. George, on the other hand, is an absolute master at it. He is a Virginia artist. He resides in Sterling. He's a member of the Virginia Watercolor Society. I'm certain that he teaches, but he's got work that's in the hands of people inside homes worldwide. Here we have, I think, one of the favorite images of people. He paints plein air, whether he draws plein air and then comes back and finishes it in the studio is unknown to me. But this is obviously something where he took imagery of his own making. He's put it on the paper. It's really well composed. You see the primary image that is drawing your eye is not dead center in the image itself. It's moved a little up and to the right. And then he's not bashful about the shadows behind the barn or the height of the grass that the tractor's sitting in. This is something that's not, it appears to me to be a fall image. And it's one of those things that is typical Loudoun County. It's on a farm. It may not be, that barn may not be in the best repair. That tractor may not have been ridden so much recently, but it is something that's prototypically Loudoun County. How does it make you feel?
I like that, but what I want to get back to, and seeing this and how detailed it is, what makes this form of art difficult for you? And you've been an artist for years.
Yeah, well, first of all, the medium is very, very difficult. You're taking what is a highly dried pigment, or the color, and then you're diluting that with water. And one of the things that George does that I really love is he cares a little bit less about the hard lines in the image. I mean, they're there, and they help define what he's asking you to focus on as a viewer. But the balance of the painting is not done, we refer to it as tightly. He's not drawing individual blades of grass here. He's not painting individual blades of grass. He's letting that color wash do that work and mix in your eye. One of my favorite people in my life, I took one of my few painting classes from, and her primary lesson was the art of looking and seeing what you're painting and not having the need to paint each leaf on a tree, but rather to get what you're reading, what you're actually seeing in your eye. And George, I think, does a tremendous job of doing that. That blue in the upper tree to the right is just beautiful, and he's not painted a single leaf in that. And getting that so that it reads as a tree in context with the barn and the tractor, I think that's hard work, and he's done a really good job of it. Our current bid for George's watercolor painting here is $302. As I'm looking at it, is that overgrown? Is that what our title is here? No? At rest, my bad. Our market value is $465. We're at $302. We've got a long way to go, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate it if you would increment your bidding in $10 increments. This is something that is really well framed. First of all, it's covered in glass, so it's going to keep that watercolor from fading over time. It's hung in a gallery frame. That really thin black edge that you see helps you focus on the piece of artwork itself. This would hang out any place in your home, your office. And by the way, you got to give gifts during Christmas. This is something that would go wonderful, especially if you have somebody who loves the rural landscape of Loudoun County.
Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming,
keep
Birthdays are coming. So here's another one. This is Kathleen Houser. I'm certain of it. I met, Kathleen's one of those artists that I met first in the town of Leesburg at a pop-up art show. I'm trying to find the piece of it. Pine and Vine. This is item number 44 in your gallery sheet. It's acrylic on gallery wrapped canvas. It's 14 by 18 inch image, and this market price is $299. So if you were sitting here with Glenn and I, you would notice how the paint that she has applied to her substrate, the canvas, really does have a lot of depth to it. It has that third dimension. It's what they call impasto in the art world. But more than anything else, I think the real strength of this painting is the light that she gets reflected off of that tree. I know Kathleen, I've known her for a long time. She paints plein air first. In other words, she's painting in front of that tree, and she paints in very close proximity to where she lives in northwest Loudoun County. So chances are she either drove a very short distance or she walked to this tree, or this tree is something she sees out her window. I want to remind you that these artists are your neighbors. Again, these are people that you are having lunch with in some restaurant someplace. You pass on the aisles at the grocery store that you shop at. These are people that you know, and you probably know well. You may not be aware that Kathleen Houser has the kind of talent that she does. She is what I would say, she is a rustic painter. She's not delicate in the application of paint. She's moving the paint around fairly aggressively. This tree looks, if you're seeing it online, this tree looks like it's moving at sunset. It moves your eye around the canvas so that you have a lot of different pieces of the image to enjoy. And it's another one of those calming images so that you could sit down at the end of a hard day and enjoy an adult beverage or a chamomile tea, like Glenn is fond of.
Watch they start getting a lot of chamomile tea from everybody.
It is painted on 5 sides, right? Top, bottom, the sides, and that primary image that you're looking at, that most people look at. Our bid price is currently up to $299. That's an excellent bid for this particular piece. Things are only going to get more expensive as we go from here. And the pieces that we'll see going forward are pieces that are more and more competed. There are a lot of people that are bidding for it. So ladies and gentlemen, at $300, this piece could be in your family for decades. I would suggest that you bid up another $100 because now you're closer to the real value of this piece. Any other comments?
That piece says fall. I'm looking at it, and it's the fall. You come home and nice brisk day and just come in and see that. That's a good piece. I like this a lot.
It's well done.
Yeah.
So we're going to stay with Kathleen House here as we go to the next piece. This is another one of her barns in rural Loudoun County. What's her number here on the gallery sheet? 45. Item number 45 on the gallery sheet. This is called Overgrown. It's acrylic on another gallery wrapped canvas. Measures 12-inch by 16. So this is a relatively diminutive painting. It's small. That means it's got a lot more places in your house to hang. And I want to go back to that concept of not painting every leaf on the tree. Although this is painted with a little bit of pointillism, where you have very small pieces of paint that are put on. And Kathleen has the ability to do that. She does it extraordinarily well. But she lets the paint help read the balance of the imagery. The primary image here is that barn. This is, I can't tell you, there really aren't that many old barns to go out and paint in Loudoun County. And chances are that Kathleen either walked to this location and she's painting right in front of it on a roadside, or she drove a short distance to get in front of it. She does finish many of her paintings in the studio. But this is something that, Glenn, you were talking about the other piece, speaking to you and saying fall.
Right.
This is so lush in its greenness. It's obviously a spring painting. It's got a lot of dappled sunlight in it in different places. She's chosen a sky image that's not your prototypical, cloudless blue. It's probably a morning painting because that cloud with some overcast, so that the sky actually reads a bit yellow in this case. She's done a really good job with the trees, the silhouettes of the trees. And if you remember, if you stuck with us through this entire live stream, this is one of those paintings that is done in layers. You paint that background image first. So she's got an underpainting that's probably that really bright yellow. She came back in and she painted those pieces of green with different hues, really bright yellow in that bottom left-hand corner, darker green at the same level of the painting. She's incorporated those that rule of thirds. You've got the piece that's closest to us, that imagery that's closest to us is in the lower third of the painting. The top 2/3 of the painting is where she's really asking us to focus our sight. And then all the trees and the rest of the leaves that are in there are done without any specificity, and yet she's able to create that kind of imagery that you really read nature as for what it is. One of the hardest things in painting is to create order out of the chaos of nature. And I think Kathleen Houser's paintings really accomplish that. You know, when we look at it, there is no doubt what we're looking at. We're looking at an old barn whose wood, whatever it was when it was first painted, has now grayed itself out. It is not necessarily in decay, but nobody's painted that recently. And she has all that lush undergrowth that you obviously read as undergrowth. This is a beautiful painting. Our current bid is at $359. The market price for overgrown is above $475. You're getting an opportunity to own a Kathleen Houser at a deep, deep discount, and we would hope that you would understand Loudoun Cares needs your support. Let's bid that up a little bit, folks.
Definitely. And one thing I do like about this picture, this painting, is the sunlight. The light, how she uses this light. This is really something, and it's like reflective in the grass in front. Everything is so realistic. It's a great picture.
Painted on 5 sides, top, bottom, and the primary surface. We do have some buy now items. Glenn, you want to talk to us about that?
Yes, we have some jewelry here. Valerie is bringing the jewelry there, and we have the plates.
Valerie,
here.
tell us about the
jewelry.
piece in your left hand.
This is a beautiful piece. It's made of natural stone and silver.
Is that jasper, or has anybody told us what that is? The green.
It's green.
Yeah,
It's beautifully
it is
green.
beautiful green. Thank you so much. Let me tell you about the plate
It's a
that she's
natural
holding up.
stone.
Right. The plate is a piece of ceramics by Richard Bush. If you've heard or seen Richard Bush's name before, Richard is a very famous photographer. He has done a tremendous amount of work for National Geographic. And Richard has a pottery here in Loudoun County that if you're lucky enough to visit Glenfiddich Pottery, you will find some of the loveliest small pieces of pottery that have ever been made in the county. So Richard made and has shown with Trisk Gallery approximately 50 plates. This is one of his small square plates. How much is this priced at? It's $43, ladies and gentlemen. So, and we have another 30 of these that are available to be purchased. And I'll tell you, if you're looking for something to do over the holidays, it wouldn't matter which holiday you pick. These are the kind of things that are servable. You can put food on them. They are usable. They're functional pottery. And this is embedded with, it's a piece of, it's colored in kind of an ochre and orange surface. It's colored in that, and then it's fired. But before Richard fires these, he presses what appears to be a wheat head into that soft clay. And then he turns the edges up so that it's almost a shallow bowl, and then he fires this. I own a couple of pieces of Richard's work. I have a very lovely small vase, and I'm just in love with it. It's one of my favorite things. I can tell you, you could buy 12 of these, and the people that sit down at your dinner table over the holiday would be so impressed. So these are really affordable in the $35 to $50 range. You can buy 12 of these to serve food on, and it's less than a lot of the paintings that you're getting ready to see. So please, if you want something that's 3D, wearable, usable, these are the kind of things that we have that are buy now. It's on the auction site. Please pick up. You're not going to get an opportunity to see Richard's plates very much longer. And if you ever want to see some of his fabulous photography, it's Glenfiddich Photography and Glenfiddich Pottery and Richard Bush Photography. I invite you to take a look. It's
And
wonderful
again,
work.
Christmas is coming up. These are some great housewarming gifts as well. And please, think about it. Again, proceeds, Loudoun Cares. Thank you so much, Valerie.
All right, we're going to look at another Andrea Siebeck piece on our right, correct? Yes. So this is, I think, one of the earlier pieces in her ribbon or band series. It's painted on a beautiful gray-green background. And as you've seen in some of her other work, a lot of the imagery that's here is actually painted horizontal. And then the final effort of applying the paint is a vertical one. So there's some real tension in this painting for most viewers. It's something that you can take a look at. You can read into it what you want. Most of the people that I speak with about her paintings in this style, but this particular painting, is that conflict between horizontal imagery and vertical imagery. It's something that doesn't need to be framed. It's signed by the artist on the side. It's a beautiful piece. And again, artwork like this is something that's going to outlast your iPhone. Chances are it's going to outlast that blender that you bought last week in preparation of the holidays. These are things that will break and go away and end up in a junk pile someplace at the Loudoun County landfill. But paintings, original art, done by one of your neighbors, fabulous work, will last decades and generations within your family. It's something that your children you can give to at a later stage in your life. And speaking of giving, we do have Christmas coming up and birthdays. This is something that would be a fabulous gift.
Love it. I just, for me, who barely knows art, and I'm so grateful that you're here to talk more about it, because I was that guy, PBS Bob Ross, those kind of things, and seeing what he said and just following how he did, and I just knew I could paint. But then I got to understand, just the mindset that went into what he was doing and what some of the artists are doing, and it's powerful when you can think behind the psyche of what they're putting down.
Right. Painting, if it's done by great artists like Andrea, there's nothing accidental about this. This is not something that your 4-year-old could do, so don't even go there with me. This is a great piece of art that you should enjoy, that you should share with people and talk with people about. Again, Andrea Seebeck, one of our best painters in Loudoun County. She is a perennial artist involved in a lot of nonprofit work in the tri-state area down in D.C. She's done work with Howard University. We're currently at a $400 price for Embrace the Chaos. We're bidding in $20 increments on this. It has a market value of $600. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd really appreciate it if you would increase those bids quickly. Glenn and I have approximately 40 minutes left with you, and we're going to try to make the best of it. So we're going to move on to Leesburg in the Rain. This is item number 36 of 50 that we're going to talk with you about this evening. Leesburg in the Rain. If you're a Leesburg resident, or if you've at least driven through downtown Leesburg at any time of day, let alone night, you would recognize the Shoes sign. Shoes is currently a coffee shop being done really well performed. They've got a secret garden. But this is an image in the rain. This is the north block of King Street, just north of Market Street. And you're looking at that white area, or that reflected area in the rain, is the middle block, that famous block when we have First Friday in downtown Leesburg that was shut down for the town party. One of the things that sticks out for me, if you haven't noticed, I'm wearing glasses. I have a hard time seeing without them. But if I'm driving at night, it's the green lights that give me fits. And this particular painting does a really good job of duplicating the reflection of that green light and all the other light that's on there. It's Leesburg's 270-year-old community at this point. It's not getting any younger. And it's very difficult, I think, to get imagery like this, because when you either take a photograph, I don't know if they were painting plein air or in front of the subject. I kind of doubt it, because it was in the rain at the time. But this is something that's hard to get painted right so that you can read it right. How do you read the painting, Glenn?
I mean, he captures it so well, as you say. If you're in Leesburg at this time and just going through the rain like this is clearly it. So this was captured so well. And I think it's captured a lot of people. There's a lot of bids on this. This piece right here is really, it has many people bid on it. He's got 22. So listen, if you love it, keep going, get it. This piece is well worth it. But yes, it's a lot of activity on this particular piece.
Yeah, it's not the biggest piece in the show. This is 60-inch by 20-inch. It is oil on canvas, and it's done by Karen Von Cleek. I've seen the first work from Karen in this show. I've not had a lot of experience with her, but obviously she has a keen command of the imagery. She's got the planes correct. She's done really wonderful work with perspective. She's captured those street lights in yellow, done really well. And this is obviously something that's painted, or the imagery is done at dusk or just after dusk as nightfall is setting in. Our current bid is $503. Karen's market value for this piece is $228. Ladies and gentlemen, you get some idea of the interest that the bidding public has. It's almost, it is just at twice the market value. If you want a piece of Leesburg memorabilia or something to remember Leesburg by. Somebody in your family is in love with Leesburg, but they live in Alabama someplace and they want to remember Leesburg keenly. This is the kind of piece that you want to buy and share with your family over the years. Any other comment?
No, I think that's a great piece.
All
She
right.
captured.
I will tell you one other thing. One of the images, you may not be aware of this, but one of the images to the right, as you see the right edge of the canvas, is the Scott Gustafson building. Scott Gustafson was a citizen of Leesburg with his family. His family owned the Lightfoot restaurant. It's really famous. I would say one of the top 2 or 3 restaurants in Northern Virginia. Forget about Leesburg. They're a really great family. And they own a lot of the businesses in downtown Leesburg. But we lost Scott after a sailing event in Annapolis. And his family, his widow is here, his 3 children are here. The memory of Scott, they've named that building the Scott Gustafson Building. So this is a really wonderful painting of the town. It's got a lot of the town's important elements in it, and something that you would enjoy in your family for decades. All right, we're going to go on to Kathleen Househair's painting. I have too many pieces of paper here. Which one is it? 42. Item number 42, ladies and gentlemen, watching from home. This is called Autumn Shadows. This is acrylic, another gallery canvas on wrapped stretcher, 16-inch by 20-inch. We get a market value of Autumn Shadows of $445. I don't know if you've been out taking a hike or a walk on the WNOD Trail or the Potomac River or any of the other outdoor spaces. But that's what this is. And Kathleen, I think, has done a remarkably good job of getting that image on there. One of the hard things to do in painting is to create different elevations and perspective. We all kind of look at images. When it works, the far distance is pinched and much smaller, and then the imagery that's closer to you is at the far edge of the painting. And she's done a really good job of getting that. She's got the one tree that's right in the middle of that, at the bottom of the rocky slope. And that's what she's asking you to look at as a viewer. She's done a really good job. This is painted on 5 sides on that canvas. She's using all the autumn colors. You're going to see those in the days going forward. And then as we get into winter, this won't be around anymore. You can't take a hike and take a look at this. This is something that you can hang in your home or at the office. If you're in one of the jurisdictions, whether it's the town, the county, or any of the support jurisdictions like Visit Loudoun, this is something that ought to be at your place of business so that you can explain to people that come and ask about what happens out in Loudoun County. Loudoun is, or Leesburg specifically, is the gateway to the western 2/3 of Loudoun and all of that beautiful stuff that's out in West Virginia. And it looks exactly like this. My significant other and I took a trip to upstate Pennsylvania, and the colors hadn't set in for autumn yet. It was all green. So I promise you right now, as the light is getting lower in the sky, the color or the temperature is getting cooler. These are the kind of things that you're going to see. Our bid is currently at $445 on a painting with market value of, I'm missing it. Autumn Shadows, market value $445. We're right at market value. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 20 people. We've got multiple people that are interested in this.
700.
700 is the market value, my bad. So we got multiple people that are interested in this. I would invite you to bid up. Again, every dollar over the artist reserve goes to Loudoun Cares.
Okay.
We're going to go to another George Jacob piece. This is called Meeting Adjourned. Another little bit about my younger portion of my youth. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. They had an egg route, and as a result, they had a lot of chickens. And my grandmother would go in every morning, and she would pull all of the eggs out from underneath the chickens. So for about 15 minutes, there was so much commotion in the hen house and so much noise. My grandmother, although she was probably only 5 foot tall, was not the gentlest woman in the world. And that's what the inside of a hen house looks like. George has done a really remarkable job, again, of getting that imagery on there. He's not a slave to the edges of the painting. You can see the one chicken in the very middle line of that painting. The tail's off to the side. Right. And he's got a nice rusty bucket in the middle of it. And he goes from the lightest of light depictions to the darkest shadows just in the bottom right-hand corner when he has his signature. If you can't tell, this is a watercolor painting. Again, really, really difficult medium to get right. This is one of those things that when you put color on paper, you can't change it. It's not going to come off. So it's not like acrylic. If I put red on, I went, oh man, I really needed that to be green. I can't paint over it and get rid of the red. It's on there forever. What kind of emotion do you get out of the painting, Glenn?
It's so realistic. And you telling this story about your grandma, that you can capture. He captured that.
He's got it.
He captured that. So that's kind of probably the thing that he's thinking of, like, oh, back. I remember when. But it's captured so much, and I like it, as you said, the blending of the shadows at the bottom.
Yeah.
The way your eyes focus, it captures all that.
So if you don't, first of all, if you don't have a piece of George's work, this is an opportunity for you to get a really fabulous watercolor. Current bid price is at $462. Meeting adjourned, market price at $695. This is a painter that's a member of the Virginia Watercolor Society. His paintings are in international venues all across the world, as far as India, whether it be in private homes or galleries or different shows. George is a very unassuming man. It's the first time that I've worked with him and seen his work, and he's just so impressive from the standpoint of being a watercolorist. He's done a remarkable job of getting those images on there. We've got
20 plates left, so those plates are moving, and then we have 7 sets of jewelry left too. So continue to keep on bidding as you see those plates, and again, as you see other art that we're not able to show, but as you go on hand bid, just go through and look at that art and go ahead and put your bid in. We have 11 paintings left that we're going to cover it. And we're going to move a little quicker, so stay with us and keep those bids coming.
All right, we're going to try to do the next 11 in less than 30 minutes. We should be able to do this. This is item number 39 that we're actually showing live stream today. Again, we had a total of 125 paintings that were submitted and shown on the website. So if you don't see what you like here, you can go to the website, pick out what you want, bid on it there. This is an image of Great Falls, and it is painted by Roger Perez. It's an oil painting, 18-inch by 24-inch, and that is on canvas. It's a fully wrapped canvas. It's ready to hang. This is something that you might want to paint. It's painted on that single surface facing the viewer. But if you're lucky enough to ever visit Great Falls in Fairfax County, this is quintessential Virginia imagery. It is something difficult to get right. Those rocks are very hard to get depth so that you can read them as rocks. And then the water at Great Falls specifically presents quite a challenge for any painter that wants to try to tackle this. He's got great reflection. He's captured the light and the trees. I think that's accurately depicted. He's got real skill in putting the paint on the canvas. There's some that third dimension that I keep talking about, impasto. There's some lift of that. And this is something that could hang in just about any place that you find acceptable in your life. I don't think it would go good in a car. How about you?
No.
No. Not a car, but any other still place that you could put it.
Definitely.
Great Falls, Virginia by Mr. Perez. Our current bid is $510. It has a market value of $800. We're bidding in $20 increments now, ladies and gentlemen. We'd love to see that bid come up greater than it is right now. And if you aren't interested in bidding at this time, the bid goes on for quite a while this evening. You can come back to it. There's a telephone number on the website. If you have questions about this piece, you want to talk about it more, you can call the telephone number and somebody would be happy enough to speak with you. I'm going to go to a really sentimental piece, and it is by George Jacob again. It's a watercolor. He's done a really wonderful job in that wash at the top third of the painting and the right half of the painting when you're taking a look at it. It's called I Love You, Dad. So any of you that have a daughter or a son, you'll know as a parent how we long to hear those words. We really want to know that our children, that we've invested so much of our lives in caring for them to the point of survivability, we want to know that they appreciate that. This is called I Love You, Dad. and it's a little girl in a garden. She's in a multicolor sundress. I think George has done a great job of getting that color contrast of the image that you're seeing. The figure that you're seeing in the little girl is very readable, only it's not so tight that it loses its charm and its innocence.
Yeah, and you know, as you say, that's what I was looking at, the innocence of it, and only if they can stay that way, because my daughter's like, I love you, Dad, but can I have money? Because she's in school,
Yeah,
so she wants money.
of
So
course.
I would grab something like this and say, remember when you were that child? And then have her look at that piece. But yeah,
Right.
that's very warm.
So this bidding started around $300. It's up to $512 right now. It's got a market value of $465. So at $512, we are over the market value, but this is still a bargain for a piece of original art produced by somebody in the Northern Virginia area. I keep saying this, I hope you don't mind, but we do have, present season coming up. Christmas, there are all kinds of other holidays, the high holidays and other things where you might have an opportunity to give a gift to somebody. It's an expression of love. I think this painting does a really great job of transferring that emotion that so many paintings lack. George has done a great piece of work here. I invite you to bid this up. Again, it's called I Love You, Dad, watercolor. It's 16 by 24, maybe a little bit less than that. It's mounted under glass. It's got that white matte, and there's a dark green matte, so it's double matted. I'm certain, knowing watercolorist, and George and I had a brief couple of moments to talk about it, this is all archival paper that he's painting on, and so is the matte work. So this is something that'll work for you and hang in your house, maybe be in your family for decades, generations, and be around for a long time. All right, this is my first opportunity to talk about Kay Walsh. Believe it or not, this is a highly abstracted still life by Kay Walsh. So she is a representational painter. In other words, when you look at it, and in this case, after you might look at it for a little while, this is called Finding a Flower. Item number 67 on the gallery sheet. We're bidding in $20 increments. This has got a market value of $850. It's worth every penny of that, ladies and gentlemen. And the current bid is at $543. We're again bidding in $20 increments. So let's talk about this. It's mounted under glass and matted. It's a painting on paper. And I think I've said that it is a still life. So Kay's work, just to let you know, she's a Loudoun County artist. She's deeply involved with a lot of the nonprofit groups. She was a significant party in running the art gallery at the Villages at Leesburg. If you've ever met Kay, you'll know her kindness and her willingness to speak with just about anybody about art. But as you can see, that white element and the red element at the very top of the painting are the flowers. So this is a still life of flowers in a vase. I think it's done really well. The color contrast in it, that blue as it changes to violet and then goes to green, that's the kind of color contrast that I'm talking about, that green on top of the violet. Those are perfect contrasting colors. And it'll speak to each and every one of you differently than perhaps it did with Kay or to Kay as she was painting it, or as it might speak to Glenn. What do you see?
I'm just looking. What I like about it is it's. I can see, like, at times I look at it, I see an eye, or sometimes I'll see different motions. I can see somebody with a cap on their head going backwards. From sitting here, it looks like somebody has a cap on their head backwards. So what I like about the abstract is that you can interpret the way you want and how it speaks to you. So definitely.
All right, so again, this is a Kay Walsh painting. It's large, 24.5 by 30.5. It's acrylic and charcoal on paper, so you would call this mixed media. It is signed by Kay. Most of her paintings go for considerably more than this. Her market price is $543, and I believe we have a current price of $543. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be an opportunity for you to own what I would call kind of a bridge piece, someplace between representationalism and abstract, and I encourage you to bid up. we're going to
Also, before we get, as we're going to get ready to segue to our next piece, want to remind you to please go to and look at the raffles. We want you to do the raffles for the basket. Also think about getting a T-shirt and also the mask. So there's the other items. If you don't want to bid on the art, but we prefer that you do, but also T-shirts, the basket, and also the mask. Please go bid on those now.
Okay, we're going to talk about this piece that's directly behind me, so I'm going to get out of your way for a couple of seconds and let you look at it. This is a triptych. In other words, there are 3 pieces that are involved here. Our current bid is at $850. This is by Ravi. He's a DC artist. Ravi is a highly commissioned, often commissioned portrait artist, but this is one of his more abstract pieces. It is representational in that when you take a look at it, it looks like a cityscape across the water. I think a lot of people would read this as downtown New York with the financial district being in the middle, and this being being seen from the Hoboken side of the river. And it's done. We've hung it stacked this way because we had limited space, but this is a series of paintings, the triptych, 3 pieces, that you would probably hang side by side in a long wall, someplace, perhaps in a commercial environment, certainly in the lobby of a nice office space. All you attorneys that are out there, and I know there are a bunch of them that are taking a look at it. If you do real estate law, this is perfect for your environment. You can hang that there. And then if you had the opportunity to ever meet Ravi, you would recognize him as one of the best informed, most approachable, and really easy smile, easy to talk about or talk to. And I've just been informed that this is up to $880. So bid now, bid often. This is something that should go home with you and should be in your personal space. I think it's something that provides a lot of visual enjoyment. Worked with Ravi a long time. I've seen a lot of his portraits. He does figurative work as well as these abstractions. He has done another series that's named after a Beatles song, A Day in the Life, of course, is one of the famous Beatles songs. And you would be lucky enough to own a series of work, 3 pieces from somebody that is highly sought after DC artist. A Day in the Life. Current bid, $880, ladies and gentlemen. Please bid it up. We're over here now. So I'm going to talk with you about the persimmons. My favorite story about persimmons is watching groundhogs eat and get drunk on fermented persimmons in the fall. If you've never seen that, if you've never seen groundhogs get loaded on fermented persimmons, it's one of the funniest things that you've ever seen in your life. And you just don't think about this. You don't think about animals having that experience. This is groundhogs' personal adult beverage. But to the art itself, this is a 20-inch by 20-inch, and I believe Ting paints oil on canvas. And what she's done here is a very realistic, so this is representational. You recognize them. Whether or not you understand the fruit is persimmon, you do see it as some sort of natural result of a flowered experience that turned into fruit. She does a really nice job of having that variable orange color sitting on top of that really nice pale blue with the light that is shining from the upper left, and so you get the shadows down in the bottom right of each one of those persimmons. It's done very tastefully. She's got the images pushed off center substantially. It's all kind of drifting into the bottom right-hand side. You can see, and she has a lot of depth in the image from the petals that are left over from the initial bloom of the flower that is turned into the fruit. It is abstracted a bit in that you don't. It doesn't read as a perfect photorealistic image, but it's an unusual image as well. Not a lot of people take the time to go out and find this type of natural element and then decide to paint about it. So in painting, one of the things, Glenn, I don't know if you've noticed it, but we do get a lot of Loudoun County paintings that are like open fields with rolled up hay bales. And while that does speak to some people, the more interesting part of local art to me is when somebody finds an image that hasn't been painted 150 times. And that's what this is. So persimmons are done extraordinarily well. She's an excellent artist. If you have the opportunity to see her work, and seek her out, because you're going to enjoy her if you can. Glenn, do you have any comments?
I just, you had spoke about it, but the shadows that are here, the depth that brings, I like that. And I mean, it just sets that off. And the color scheme, that was
That pale blue and orange
Right.
color contrast is a really nice thing for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, our current bid is at $965. Persimmons has a market value of $1,500. Ting is one of the, I would say, one of the finest painters that you'll ever have the experience. I've talked with her a number of times. She's a very unassuming person. She is broadly self-taught. This is not somebody that, although I'm sure she's taken lessons from people, but most of the skill that she has acquired and that you're seeing expressed on this canvas comes from her genetic material, and not necessarily from somebody that stopped her to paint or taught her to paint in a certain way. $965, we're bidding in $20 increments. I encourage you to bring that price up. This is something you won't find at this price in the future. Best of bidding to you. All right. I think this is another one of Ting's paintings, right?
26.
Sorry?
26, rainy night.
26 rainy nights. Sorry for my slowdown. Ting Ting Hue is Rainy Night. Oil on canvas, 24 inch by 36 inch. I'm a particular fan of cityscapes. I think it's another one of those things that, although you see a lot of people painting in cityscapes, you don't see cityscapes painted often at night, and you don't see them painted in the rain. I have seen other people that have done this kind of unfocused view of a cityscape, but it's rare that you see them do it with this kind of skill. This is almost photoreal. If you can imagine looking out the front windshield of your car in the rain, this is what you would see. And because of this broad kind of green and yellow stroke that runs all the way through the center of the painting, top to bottom, you get that contrast and that real believability that you're driving down a street in New York. Maybe it's in D.C., perhaps in one of the areas that's not as well lit. It's a beautiful painting. It's painted only on the front, so this is something that likely needs a really nice gallery frame. I'd encourage you not to overframe it. Something in steel, black steel, would go really well. It's a larger piece, but it's still not too large to hang in your home.
Exactly. And it resonates with several people, because I see there's several people that have bid on this at this moment. So just as you say, it's one of those pieces that you don't see a lot of. And so it draws people to it, that it's not just overpainted. So that's good.
Okay, so one of the things that I've missed, and somebody in the audience here is kind of pointing to for me, there's a figure in there with an umbrella. You might be able to see that in your view online, but I would encourage you to take a look at it if you can come by before the person that buys this picks it up. Our bidding, fortunately, has increased to well in excess of, what is it, 1,085, or are we more than that? So we're at 1,085 right now. We're still not at the market value. I doubt seriously you're ever going to see a Ting Ting Hue painting priced this way, one of this size, and it's something that you would find enjoyable for quite a while. We're going to go to a Marta McGrath painting now on our left. Again, Marta is a highly respected artist. She does a lot of work and does a number of exhibitions and participates in shows at the Torpedo Factory in Alexandria. She actually lives in Maryland. She is an abstract artist, but she uses music as inspiration in so many of her pieces of work. Yeah, this is Blue Bayou, which was a Linda Ronstadt song, and then prior to that, somebody help me out, Roy Orbison, Blue Bayou. This is back 1950s song that Linda Ronstadt redid, and that Marta has taken as inspiration for this. She does a really good job of getting characters. Even in abstract work, there are elements, big splotches of paint that act as characters in the work and substitute for figures in representational painting, where somebody might be painting a street scene that have people on it. This might still be a street scene as source imagery for Martha, but the characters that are in her painting are this big piece of kind of violet paint that's set on top of that nice lime green and deeper green element. This feels like the imagery of plants and natural growth around a lake or some other sort of bay area. There is sunlight in the painting that's in the upper left-hand side. It kind of drifts down, and there's the painting of an edge of a body of water, that kind of white path that goes across the top 1/3 of the painting. And then she offsets that blue with patches of orange. That's the construction of the piece. But the image and the feel, the emotion that you get from the piece is really one of calm, where you're sitting around a body of water on a warm summer afternoon, enjoying, as Glenn says, a daiquiri or a pina colada or some other tropical drink. If you remember the song Blue Bayou, that's exactly the imagery that the lyrics evoke. This painting is current price, our bid is $1,455. It has a market value of $2,300. That's just $800 and some or $700 and some dollars below its market value. It would be very difficult for you to go to an art gallery, first of all, and even find this painting at the $2,300 market price, let alone buy it at under $1,500. So this is a piece that is, in fact, going to appreciate in value over time. But I would encourage you to buy this because you love the piece. It speaks to you. It provides some sort of emotional interaction with you, rather than an attempt to buy something that's going to appreciate, although I truly believe that Marta's work will appreciate over time. Blue Bayou, our current price, our bid price is $1,455. This has a market price of $2,300. It's an absolute bargain the way that it is right now. Please bid it up. Every penny that you spend goes to Loudoun Cares. Please help us out. This next piece is an Anne Stein piece. And it's the largest Anne Stein painting I've ever seen. So when you, Anne Stein is that artist I told you about, along with a couple of other artists that we have in the show that use encaustic, or this wax process, where Anne paints with a blowtorch. There's a lot of movement, but it's primarily horizontal, side-to-side movement here. And the way that that's reinforced in the imagery, first of all, in the upper 1/3 of the painting, you see the horizon line with the sun set just off left of center. And then you have the water reflection in blue, and then you start to get some of the botanical elements in it. This is called Sunset March. Its current bid is $1,955. I still believe that this is underpriced the way that it is. It's got a market price of $2,300. Our bid at $1,955 is approximately 2/3 of the market value. It's a very difficult medium to work in, and one of the primary reasons that it's difficult is you have to choose the color. You're not going to change the color once you've softened it and put it on. This is painted on board so that it won't move and crack the wax they're working with. And if you weren't here at the start of the auction, they have found encaustic pieces in Roman ruins that look like they were painted or created yesterday. They're hard as a rock. They're very, very durable. So if you have a 4-year-old in your house that likes to throw stuff around, this is a painting that might survive his youthful experience. And it serves well depending upon what you really love to look at. It is a calm image. I think there's a lot of peace and reserve in it. It's sensitively done. That nice pale blue and kind of yellow-orange are wonderful contrasting pieces that I think you could be around for quite a while. And if you're somebody who's a fisherman, and I just bought a ton of fishing gear so I can go fishing with my kids, this is the kind of place that you want to drop your line, because there's probably a really nice bass or a trout or some other such thing that might be out there waiting for your favorite lure. So Our bid currently $1,955. We've got a number of people, more than 10 people that are bidding on this and looking at it. We're bidding in $50 increments here, ladies and gentlemen. We started at just under $1,500. We're up $500 from that. And market price again for Sunset Marsh by Ann Stein is $2,300. Please increase your bids. We've got 7 minutes left, and we've got 3 more paintings, so stay with us. Don't go away. One of my favorite people on the planet, somebody that I don't get to see enough, is Leanne Fink. Leanne Fink is a preeminent artist in the county she teaches. She's been in the county for a long time. Her and her husband operated a health services business, and I think they had just about enough of that. Leanne has been painting for a very, very long time, so she is a working artist. This is the kind of work that Leanne does on a daily basis to make a living. Her husband is a playwright. He's a stand-up comedian, but the art that we're looking at right now is Leanne's. What's the title of this piece? I think this is in Bratislava. So Leanne, as I've shared with you before, has traveled quite a bit, and she takes photos in her travels, and she comes back home and paints for that. This has been shown a couple of times that I've seen it. It is a brilliantly colored painting. So as you look at art history over time, there are people like Fauvist who really kind of abandoned color convention and painted whatever color they wanted to. There are some really famous post-impressionist Fauvists that are out there, but Leanne is a colorist. She likes color in her work. This is a very vertically structured piece, so you see the action going from the bottom of the painting to the top of the painting. She's been kind enough to give us scale, and that's the image of what looks to be a hatchback vehicle. I have no idea what the make of that would be because it's in Bratislava. It's got to be Russia, right? And I don't know I don't know that part of the country or the world. Sorry, I'm banging on my microphone. Anyway, you see a merchant that's got work for sale hung out there. It's a streetscape. She's done a really nice job of painting this loosely so that as you get closer to it, you can see the individual brush strokes from the artist. And they're done on the right side very simply, very moderate in color, and she leaves all of that color contrast in kind of that upper left-hand corner. It's arresting in its color contrast. It makes you want to look at it and get closer to it. And that's what a lot of people, when you're in the presence of great art, you see it from a distance, you know, and you want to walk up to the painting and find out what that artist did in order to create those images.
And you can tell this is a real good piece because it makes you almost want to walk that street, walk that road.
Yeah.
You know, where that is. So where is that? And she captured so well. Like you say, it gave it definition and depth, but the car being there, and you can just go on beyond the car. Okay,
so I just got my geography lesson that is in Slovakia, Bratislava, Slovakia. I don't know if any of you have been to Slovakia, but it's not a high-income environment. I'll tell you, if you have the opportunity to meet Leanne Fink, she is one of the sweetest, kindest people, very unassuming, and she doesn't need to be that way. Her talent is obvious. Her following is legion, and to be able to pick up a painting of Leanne's in the area of $1,800, this has got a market price of $2,800. We've got almost $1,000 yet to go, ladies and gentlemen. You wouldn't be able to buy this for this price in any gallery that you could walk into and visit. If you were at Leanne's studio, you could not buy this from Leanne for the current price. It is a bargain, and it is one of those things that'll be with you for generations, and I invite you to bid that up. We're going to be online accepting additional bids in $50 increments for quite a bit longer this evening. But we're going to move from there to Four Corners by Octavia Fraser. We've talked about Octavia before. 4 points, my bad. 4 pointers, not corners. We're bidding in $20 increments here. Our current bid is at $800. And this is, Octavia is a collage artist. And so her process is that she works with really high-end paper. She paints in acrylic. She paints on those papers. She tears and cuts the papers up and then arranges them in the pattern that you see here. In fact, in many of the cases, she does use visual or musical references. But I would say most of her work is just, it comes from her soul. If you have the occasion to meet Octavia, you would find her very approachable, easy to talk with. She's happy to explain everything that she's done. And for an artist that sells at the rate and the prices that she does, this is a rare opportunity for you. I've sold multiple pieces of hers along with other artists into wedding venues. It's something that speaks to a lot of different people from many walks of life. And I would invite you to get the bid, which currently sits at $510. This has got an $800 market value. I would ask you to please bid that up in $20 increments. We're on to our last piece. Got any feelings about this one, Glenn?
Right away, what captures me is the color scheme. That I mean, it just stands right out at you. As I just panned right over, it's like, that is impressive.
Yeah, so this is a painting that's by Suzanne Sinclair. I want to say it, and I'm going to mangle your name, and I'm sorry, Suzanne. Caligo. But I have to tell you, the post-impressionism in Europe was a difficult time. After the 1800s, the 19th century, Europe almost immediately descended into war. And it was the run-up of the German, I think it was Kaiser Wilhelm, and then ultimately that period in between Hitler and Wilhelm is when the German abstract expressionists painted. This has so much of the German abstract methodology in it, the way that color's used, the way that contrast is there. This is actually called Hilltop. It's a cemetery on the top of the hill. Our market value here is $450. We're bidding in $10 increments. Current bid is at $260. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you went to the National Museum of Art, MoMA, or any other large art gallery that has a massive collection of post-19th century art, this is something you could not buy. This painting ought to be at the $5,000 plus level. It's so well rendered, it's so sincere in its content, the emotional transfer that you get out of it, the imagery of the cemetery at the top of the hill, and the distance that you're able to read from this. It's just one of the loveliest pieces in the show. I would like to tell you that we are in the 9 o'clock minute. I want to thank everybody for streaming live with us. I want to thank my co-captain here, Glenn Wooten. All the raffle. Oh, we're going to do a raffle. Oh, we do have a raffle winner. Somebody want to? Monty, you seem to know something.
Yeah, we do have a special friend of ours who's been very faithful and now a friend and family of Loudoun Care. So it's a pleasure to announce that Miss Gretchen Peacock has won the raffle. Gretchen Peacock.
So to those people that are still with us, thank you so much for watching this. This was a rare opportunity for Loudoun Cares to raise money. To the people that bought or bid on the art, thank you so much. All the art above all the income above the artist reserve price goes to support Loudoun Care. We appreciate you spending your Saturday evening with us. We look forward to you coming back. Glenn's got some final
and I want
words.
to do one last time to thank our sponsors, and of course thank yourselves, but our platinum sponsors, Bank of Clark County, Leesburg Lifetime, City of Angels PPE, Price, Gallery, Keens Enterprises, House Cleaning Heroes, CIA Pro AV, gold sponsors were Bow Vineyards, Rebellion, Loudoun Brewery, Copy General,
HHMI, Genelia Research Campus.
Thank you.
Copy General.
Our simple sponsors are
DC Prime.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am.
DC Prime, State Farm, TL Construction, Four Corners Framing, Greenhouse Studios at Oatlands House and Gardens, Wegmans.
And I want to say a
financial
special
divorce
thanks
experts.
to the people at Keene Enterprises. They own the spot and
Yes.
donated our venue to us.
Thank you so much.
So if you ever go to the Leesburg Farmers Market on a Saturday, you're on one of the Keene properties. That's where we're broadcasting from this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody at
Thank
Loudoun
you,
Cares
Jim.
for getting
Thank
this
you.
set up.
Thank you, Jim, for giving us a lesson.
Good night.